Prince William pulled out of attending a memorial service for the late King Constantine of Greece at the last minute today for unspecified personal reasons. Queen Camilla was instead the most senior member of the royal family in attendance, with King Charles absent as his cancer treatment continues. It comes after the sudden death of Tom Kingston, the husband of Lady Gabriella Windsor, the daughter of Prince and Princess Michael of Kent, at the age of 45. I'd like to welcome to the show former BBC royal correspondent Michael Cole. Michael, very good evening to you. Welcome back to the Independent Republic of Mike Graham. Very shocking story, this, about the death of the husband of the daughter of Princess and Prince Michael of Kent. Looks very sad.
Good evening, Michael. Yes, indeed, it's been quite a day for royal news, and none of it good. Buckingham Palace announcing tonight, as you've just said, that Thomas Kingston, the son-in-law of Prince and Princess Michael of Kent, died on Sunday at his home in Gloucestershire. I feel very, very sorry for his widow. There she is, Lady Gabriella, known as Ella in the family. I met her at her father's birthday party in July 2022. She was acting the part of the host, and she was utterly charming to everybody. They've only been married 5 years. She's 42, he was 45, and they married at St George's Chapel, as you can see there, shortly after your favourite people, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, also got married at that same church, and their wedding reception was also at Frogmore House, as was the Sussexes, but it was very much more, shall we say, low key.
Yes.
One might even say all done in better taste. Her Majesty the Queen, the late Queen, and the Duke of Edinburgh attended that wedding. It's very sad. Obviously, there's going to be an inquest, and we'll find out in due course what went on. But as you remarked, it came upon other news. At that same birthday party, King Constantine was there. He looked, the ex-king of Greece, he looked in a terrible state on walking sticks and looked very, very poorly indeed. And of course, he subsequently died last year, aged 82. And today was the memorial service, also at St George's, Windsor. But very, very shortly before it was due to happen, the Prince of Wales, Prince William, pulled out. Unexplained why he did pull out. His people at Kensington Palace said it was for personal reasons, but somebody there made it clear it was nothing to do with the Princess of Wales, Kate, and they offered the view that she was continuing her recovery very well. So we don't know. I think, Mike, you and I, as old journalists, rather commended the candor of the press office at Kensington Palace at the time the Princess of Wales went into hospital. I think this is a case when they could be a little bit more candid about what's going on with Prince William, because rumour will start. People will naturally ask what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a toothache, well, tell us it's a toothache. If it's something else, give us some sort of guidance. But in the absence of that, we can only speculate. It's interesting that the Prince and Princess Michael of Kent did attend. They were very close to King Constantine, and they did go to the memorial service today.
Yes, and the palace sort of hinted, didn't they, that William's absence today wasn't anything to do with this death either. So you're right, I'm getting a lot of people asking me now, you know, what is going on with the Prince and Princess of Wales? You know, what is it that she could have that would keep her out of the limelight for such a long time? You know, I don't particularly want to get into whether we speculate about what might have happened to her. However, given now that something else has happened and we don't know why she hasn't been seen really since the end of last year, right? Since Christmas, really.
Absolutely.
And now suddenly her husband has some kind of personal matter that stops him from attending something. It's all starting to sound a bit weird.
Yeah, I think that's a fair description of it. Of course, what happened with Kate, and then we see her in happier times with her husband. I mean, they don't keep you in hospital 13 nights for something which is trivial. It wasn't obviously a minor matter. I think, and you would agree with me, she's completely entitled to her privacy, and she will tell us what she wants to tell us about what is going on with her health at the moment, and why she had to go into hospital. And what the prognosis is. But this matter with the prince pulling out, obviously, since the king also is ours to combat, he's there, but he's not there because he's having to keep separate from other people because the risk of infection during cancer care is to be avoided at all costs. And of course, Prince William, this puts him much more into focus, and the focus is much sharper because he's taking on the burden of being the king in waiting much, much earlier than he would otherwise wish to have done. Obviously, they hoped for a decent interval that the reign of his father, King Charles, he could spend more time with his family. As it is now, his wife is unwell, unlikely to be seen this side of Easter, and he's at home. He's got 3 children, 10, 8, and 5 years old to look after. Maybe the pressure is becoming too much for him. Obviously, it would be a strain on anybody, and it's quite understandable if he's feeling the pressure. But I think it would be in the interests of Kensington Palace to actually give people a little bit more guidance about why, not unprecedented, but very unusual, for him to have pulled out at the very last minute. Having first, of course, being a gentleman, have made it clear to King Constantine's widow and his heir, Prince Pavlos, that he was going to do that. And I'm quite sure that they were understanding.
Let me just ask you to put your other hat on just for a moment. The BBC, which was formerly your employer, in more trouble today, having to admit in a report that they were, shall we say, less than good at passing on a complaint that was made about Hugh Edwards. And it looks very much now as though the Sun, which was very much vilified at the time for publishing the story, has actually been kind of exonerated, really, because it now turns out that the BBC have had to apologise to the family in question. And BBC, again, failing to live up to expectations.
It's absolutely dreadful. And why am I not surprised in this case? You know, I think the Director General of the BBC is not just the Director General, he's also the Editor-in-Chief. And in Tim Davie, I'm sure that he's a brilliant marketing man, good at selling cola or whatever it was he used to sell, but he's never spent a single day in a newsroom. And yet he's the Editor-in-Chief. And I think you need to have good antennae on a story like this. You have to be all over it. You have to be on top of it, because otherwise it gets out of control and it turns into a scandal. It's a personal tragedy for the man we're looking at there, Hugh Edwards, but these things did happen. We're entitled to know up to a certain point why they happened, how they happened, and how the BBC handled it. Otherwise, it's going to look like another whitewash. And of course, we still haven't got to the bottom in any way, shape or form of the Bashir scandal. The interview in 1995, Martin Bashir for Panorama, Diana, Princess of Wales, when she was the most famous, the most photographed woman in the world, the skullduggery that went on surrounding that and the cover-up afterwards have yet to be made clear. And scandal after scandal, it's not doing the BBC any good as it approaches 2027 and the renewal of the Royal Charter. And what's the Royal Charter? It's its license to carry on broadcasting.
Exactly right. Michael, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed, as ever, for talking to us.